Ryan, good to see you. This video is for anyone who wants to retire in 2025. We have 5 money moves you need to make first. Retirement planning usually takes place over decades. Checking in with yourself throughout the planning process can keep you on track, but of course, you need to give your finances a cold, hard look before you tell the boss goodbye. So let's walk through those 5 money moves. First, this one's really important. You need to decide when to claim Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security is certainly a real important source of income for most retirees. And you got to decide when you're going to take it, right? Are you going to take it as early as 62, maybe at your full retirement age, maybe as late as age 70? If you're married, when should your spouse take it? What are the best ways for you to coordinate benefits? Also important to know whether you're entitled to any other benefits like divorce spouse benefits or widow
Mhm.
benefits, things like that. That are available. And then, of course, you need to make sure that the decision that you're making as far as when you're going to take your Social Security and such needs to be made within the context of your overall income plan,
Right.
because it's all about planning for cash flow in
Mhm.
retirement. You'll have Social Security, maybe a pension, and then you'll have other sources of, retirement accounts, other investments. So when should you take money from which accounts and when in order to make that work best for you?
Mhm. Next, you have to determine whether you have adequate savings. But how will we know?
Yeah, that's a tough question, right? Because I mean, really, it starts with identifying what type of lifestyle that you want to have in retirement. What types of things do you want to be doing? What does retirement really look like to you? And then, once you kind of really give some thought to that, then we can say, okay, it's going to cost X amount of dollars per month. I like to break it down monthly, and then figure out, okay, from there, here's how much we're getting from Social Security. Here's how much we're getting perhaps from a pension. And then, what's our income gap? How much do we need additionally, maybe from our retirement accounts, like our 401k or other types of investments and such? And then how much are we going to have to withdraw from that? And so that's
Mhm.
kind of a starting point to help figure that out.
I'm glad you mentioned what we have to withdraw because that, of course, is next. You need to decide on a withdrawal strategy. And I think a lot of us have heard of the 4% rule, but I've also heard you tap your buckets in this order: taxable, tax deferred, and then tax free. What do we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, so there's a lot to keep in mind when it comes to devising a retirement income strategy. You mentioned the 4% rule. First off, it's not really a rule; it's more of a theory that was developed back in the 1990s. Even the guy that developed it, thinks that maybe that needs to be modified now. And really, how much of your portfolio you should withdraw on a monthly or annual basis is going to depend on a number of factors, including your potential. Longevity, how long you're expected to live, and really how much are you needing in order to meet your lifestyle requirements. So there's a lot that needs to be considered there. Also, you mentioned the taxable, tax deferred, and tax free. Deciding on when you're going to withdraw money from which accounts and when in retirement, depending upon how they're taxed, is critically important, especially if you saved a lot in helping to make your money last longer. So don't just withdraw from accounts willy-nilly and not really be, thinking about it. One of the mistakes I see is, oh, that money's tax-free, I'm just going to go ahead and take from that. Well, maybe we could have taken money from a tax deferred account like the IRA or the 401k, which is subject to ordinary income tax. Because I'm thinking of a guy I was working with recently, and this is kind of the situation where if we didn't take money more from that IRA, we weren't even going to be utilizing the full standard deduction. So,
Mhm.
it makes sense. Take out a certain amount in order to get that money out
Mhm.
tax free. Now, everyone's situation is going to be different, depends on your tax bracket and everything else. But
Mhm.
these are just some of the factors to consider.
And next, you need to schedule check ins. Review your finances before and throughout your retirement, especially in that first year or two. But how often do you think retirees are doing this? And how many do you think are surprised by what they're spending?
It's interesting. It's kind of across the board. Sometimes I will find that people aren't really giving it as much attention maybe as it needs, especially early on in retirement. And it's critical to get a handle on what is that income plan going to look like? How are we going to meet our expenses? And I see problems on both sides of this if things aren't really being paid attention to. On one side, I see that sometimes we're spending too much money, and on the other side, I see situations where we're spending too little money. And that might sound a little funny that we're spending maybe too little money, but sometimes if we're really not paying attention to what our plan looks like, what's possible, that we may be putting ourselves in a situation where we're not spending as much money as we actually could. And then we don't want to get 10, 20 years down the road and find out, hey, I actually probably could have spent more money and
Mhm.
created a nicer lifestyle. So it's so important on a regular basis, especially early on in retirement, to make sure that you're getting those ducks in a row, so to speak, so you can make sure that you're having things work the best way possible for you.
Mhm. Last and perhaps most important, consult an advisor. You want to do this right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's somebody that specializes in retirement planning day in and day out, is used to seeing a lot of these different things, that come up, or a lot of the different contingencies and other things that you need to be aware of in order to make sure that your plan works best for you. And so, meeting with an advisor on a regular basis in order to make sure that these things are being handled, it not only does it help to ensure that your plan works out best for you, but it also helps to give you that peace of mind so that you can focus on the things that are really most important to you so you can enjoy your retirement.
Yeah, have the retirement you've worked so hard to have. Ryan, if somebody
Absolutely.
wants to talk through these money moves, if they're looking to retire in 2025 or tomorrow or 2 years from now, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, you can certainly call 714 and you can also go to the website, which is kravitzfinancial.com, and then go to the contact page there. Just submit a message and I will get back with you.
Great. Ryan, thank you.
Thank you.